a little bit of a game with you all, and we're going to have some fun, mainly fun for me, maybe less fun for you, and it's actually a really easy game. So in a moment, not right now, I'm going to ask you all to stand up, if that's possible, and I'm going to ask a series of questions. If your answer is, oh yes, I know the answer to this question, my answer is yes, or you have a specific, I don't know, do you have a dog? Your answer is yes. Then you're going to stay standing up. If your answer is no, you don't know the answer to the question, you're going to sit down. You don't get any redos, so when you're sat down, you're fully sat down, okay? So if you could all stand up. Okay, have we got everyone up? Yes. I'm also hoping this will give you a bit of energy straight after lunchtime. So, how many of you before today have heard of the Lego Group? That's exactly what I was hoping for. Okay, everybody's still up. After that one, second question. We'll see how many I do. How many of you have played with Lego bricks or a Lego set at least once in your life before today? Wow, okay. That was not what I was expecting. Okay. I'm going to need a question to divide the crowd a bit. How many of you knew before today that Lego is a Danish company? Oh, for God's sake. Okay, right. I've only got 3 questions, so most of you are all winners. I've got no prizes. You can all sit down. I don't actually have almost 180 prizes to give out. I was hoping that people would know less about the Lego Group than you did, so congratulations. We're going to obviously talk about what data science is at the Lego Group, but for those of you who would like to know us a little bit better than what you already do, apparently, we're a Danish company. We were founded in 1932 by Ole Kirk Christensen. We are headquartered in Billund in Denmark. It's a very small Danish town. It's very rare if anyone has ever been. The company is passed down through generations. So we are family owned. We are still family owned today. And we're owned by the great grandchild of our founder. So our current owner is Thomas Christensen. We are obviously called the Lego Group. That stands for 2 words in Danish. Leg god. If you're Danish, I'm sorry, my pronunciation is probably terrible. What that means in English is play well. And obviously, if you know anything about the Lego Group, you know we are all about play, and it's one of our core ideals. From our little game that we played, we are obviously the most reputable brand in the world. All of you knew about us today. And in terms of our products, they are sold in over 120 countries worldwide and counting. And we have over 30,000 colleagues working at the Lego Group to deliver our mission of inspiring the builders of tomorrow and learning through play. On the subject of learning through play, 25% of the Lego Group is owned by the Lego Foundation. That's our charitable initiatives. And substantial profits go every year to helping inspire children across the world in learning through play. There are 2 key concepts inside something we call the system in play. And the system in play is a key fundamental principle at the Lego Group. The first is universal compatibility. So every brick, plate, slope, minifigure accessory can and does fit with every past, present, and future brick that is made. So a brick that you have in your childhood, that you maybe played with back then, will still fit a brick that is built today. The second concept is modularity. So Lego sets are obviously made up of a ton of Lego bricks, and we have a core set of components of Lego bricks. There are not endless, countless numbers, but this core set of Lego bricks can be combined in countless number of ways to build brand new Lego sets. And there are two building blocks of this Lego system in play ideal. Now, our data science and AI team really took inspiration from this Lego system in play philosophy, and we wanted to build our own approach to modular and universally compatible pipelines. In doing this, we have achieved the optimal balance between velocity and scalability that's allowed us to build our pipelines like they are Lego bricks and really build with scale. I've obviously introduced a lot about the Lego group and some of our core principles, but other than that lovely introduction Melissa gave, you have no idea who I actually am. So, a little bit of background about me. As Melissa said, Chloe Thompson. I'm a senior data scientist at the Lego group. My specialism in our team is around machine learning forecasting, and also in our engagement both with the business and with the end users of our forecasts. I've been at the Lego group for just over 2.5 years, and before that I specialized in large language models inside health insurance. Some of you may argue that's slightly more boring than working for the Lego group. I am very passionate about the data community and tech community in general. So before I was a proud member of WID, I was a director for Women Who Code, and now I lead some of the WID initiatives inside the Lego group, which is why we're here today partnering with them. As you can see, there's two minifigures on this slide. So this has been professional version, and now we talk about fun version. So outside of work, I am a keen gymnast. I am no Simone Biles. Please do not ask me to do any tricks today. And also, as this little minifigure may represent, I absolutely love to cook and I love to bake. And if you have the pleasure of ever attending an event with our team at the Lego group, you know that I will always supply the baked goods, and my team know that as well. I've spoken a little bit there about my team. So what does my data science and AI team actually do? Well, we have a dual challenge. The first is to produce a machine learning forecast for the business. Not with magic crystal balls that we predict the future with, but with pure data science. The second is to anticipate how the changing requirements of the business will impact the requirements for our team. Now, if any of you work in a data science team or in a business context, you know it is arguably always harder to fulfill the second part of this slide. It is so much harder to stay one step ahead of the business at all times. And it's this requirement that we're going to lean into today. And it's really about how our team felt the need to be ahead of these changing requirements, and we wanted to build for success for the future. Now, as I've hinted to, building machine learning solutions for the business is no easy task. And what often happens is business requirements come in, your number of stakeholders grow as you start to do really well, and then they want more. They want more data science solutions, they want more out of you, they change their mind constantly. And things can start to feel like a massive mess of spaghetti on your plate. Or, for getting to Big Data London today, like navigating the London Tube system with no idea what you're doing, which is what happened to me this morning on my way here. So for us, this is the exact problem that our team faced. We had an expansion of business requirements, and it tangled us in this mess of complexity. We had this vision as a product to create clean, modular, and adaptable pipelines where the complexity of the business was completely abstracted away from anything that we did technically as a team, where we wanted our own system in play, where these modules could be clicked together to build a universal pipeline regardless of the business output. But, like all good transformation stories, like you've maybe seen in other talks today, this is not where we started at all. In our old ways of working, we created different pipelines for every single stakeholder. And this maybe looks quite clean to you on the slide here, but imagine this times by 3, times by 100. That's the complexity that we were dealing with. And we designed it this way for a multitude of reasons. The first, and arguably the most easy to understand, is we started off with one solution at a point in time, and as we went through our development as a team, things grew, things changed, and we didn't grow and change with them. We just kept building new solutions for each stakeholder. Everything was also implemented at different times. So something that was built a year before was using completely different technology stacks, completely different coding languages, different time series, and different machine learning methodologies. The second, and you can probably tell from the slide, all of these pipelines were built with the business requirements in mind. So we built every single pipeline with hard-coded filters and logic based on the business requirements that we had. It didn't just impact the output for our product, but it cascaded its way down into our modeling and all the way down into our data layers, much to our data engineering team's dismay. And we had completely different, re-engineered, custom, bespoke input data for each of these pipelines. Now, you can imagine the technical debt that this has, but it's not only a technical debt problem. Hold on. Yes, we're still on the right slides. This also produced a silo of knowledge within our team. So every pipeline that we had required each data scientist to know the history, the code, and the business decisions that were already made in order to impact any of the changing requirements that came in. And we obviously struggled to build anything new on top of this. So this is what we had to untangle before we could even start to think about our new vision. Let me take you back to the vision, the obviously simpler version of what we had. This vision is one part how these pipelines technically work, and the other part is how we as a team have structured our ways of working, both within our team as data scientists and engineers, but also with the business and the other products that we were dealing with. And so, by allowing all of this business outputs to dictate the changes that were happening in the technical foundation, we allowed all of this non-universal approach to happen. We allowed the mess to happen. And so, as a team, we really had to sit back and think bigger than what we had in order to even get to this point. Let's start with what we call the technical foundation. And in the technical foundation, we had to bring everything back to, pardon the pun, a base plate state. We had to completely rebuild everything from the bottom up. So, we took apart all our data pipelines and we re-engineered them to be at the lowest level of granularity possible. It's a lot of work, but it gave us the flexibility to meet all of those nuanced business cases later on. And it also allowed us to be in control of the levels that we produced the models at. And this is the first key step to unlocking everything else that came after. All of our feature stores and our models are built in the same complete fashion. So we wanted these to really be like those Lego bricks that you pick up and you build something new with. If I talk specifically about our feature stores, we completely re-engineered these as well. These are now built with features that can be used for every single use case that all sit in the same place, can be contributed to by anyone in the team, and can be used by any of the models. It also means that we can now perform feature selection to choose what's most relevant for each use case and for every single model. That's great for technicalities, but also for the business, it's increased our explainability and our accuracy of the models. Instead of having specific features for all of these pipelines, they now sit in a centralized place, ready to be used at any point, and they can be engineered at a single point in time, once a month, that gives us consistency across all of our outputs, and also efficiency in our compute power. We're not re-engineering these constantly every single week, every single day. For our modeling, we can now build the models at any chosen level and use any of these features that we have. Compared to when we had all of those specific flows of data and inputs, this is an absolute game changer to be able to pick and choose what you want to do. Inside this model core, we can choose any different type of model that we want to use as well. And when it comes to testing new technology, we can just simply pick this module up, change it, and act like that universal Lego brick that's swapped in and out depending on what you want to build. At its core, all this block needs is data to come in and an output place to store the forecasts. It doesn't care about anything else. And in this modular component fashion, what's inside these components matters far less. It doesn't matter whether you're building on Databricks, Azure, Google Cloud, but using this principle, what's inside these, the model that's being used, the tables, the architecture matters far less, as long as we can pick up and use what we want to when we have it. We've obviously talked about adaptability a little bit, and the adaptability value is really realized in what we have decided to call our business engine, with this brand new component called a flex module. And creating this flex module abstracted away all of the complexity from the business outputs into a set of tools that can simply be picked up and used when you decide that you want to do that. For our team, we then had before specialisms for every single business output. These are now shared openly. They can be contributed to by anyone. They live in a centralized place so everyone can understand what's happening to build these business outputs. It's kind of like a singular toolbox. It's your Swiss Army knife that allows you to pick up a core set of forecasts and combine them in whatever way you see fit to match this business stakeholder. In this new state, a requirement from the business can come in and it will either adapt on or expand the functionality that's already existing in this Flex module. And it means that our team can go out into engagement with the end users of our product or to the business, collect new requirements, bring them into the team, and implement them in a more agile fashion. We've also now reduced the dependency on specific team members to make the changes. So that was the norm in our old siloed way of working, where some people were overloaded compared to others. And operating in a modular fashion, everyone can now test, develop, and implement on this pipeline. It doesn't matter whether that's in the technical foundation or in the business engine. It's allowed us to increase momentum in performing all of our data science experiments, and it's also created best practice standards from our engineering that's for testing and deployment into production, something I know that they are very pleased about. Now, as a product, all of our forecasts can now be combined in a multitude of ways, maybe some that we never even thought of before, or we would have gone in our old way of working and built an entirely new custom pipeline for. It's a massive win that the value for our product can have on the business. And now, it's just like building a brand new Lego set in the factory. We pick up a bunch of bricks and components, and we can build something entirely new. At the start of this talk, we were on a journey as a team. We had a bunch of mess, and we had this vision to create modular and adaptable approaches to our forecasting pipelines. Our team, as it stood, was heavily siloed, and the way we operated matched the business context that we were expected to deliver to. That result was a mess of all of those individual builds, and we were burdened as a team with maintenance and complexity. And while I can stand here today and show you shiny new pipelines and say that our vision has been achieved and it was so easy, we've walked away with more than just new data pipelines and new modeling pipelines. With that newfound technical foundation that we talked about, we have realized large gains in accuracy across the board for all of our metrics and all of our KPIs for every single business stakeholder. And that's down to the fact that we can build the models at the level that we want to build them at. We've also unlocked scalability. When we had all of those pipelines before, it was a mess to try and build on top of. But now we can increase our scope as a product and build something new with ease. It's a massive win for the value that we have and that we can attribute to our team. The third, velocity. If some of you are data scientists, you know you have new ideas, new hypotheses, new things that you want to try all the time. And by taking all of these core modules and abstracting away complexity, our data scientists can now perform experiments of new features, new data, or even for new stakeholders without complexity. And most importantly, we've also built an efficient way for us to measure both our failure or our success for those experiments, so we know whether they're going to drive value as well. And finally, and possibly the most important for the theme of this talk, is adaptability. We obviously know that stakeholders can and do change their mind on requirements all the time. And by building this modular and universal approach, we're now prepared as a team to be fully flexible to meet those changing demands if and when they come into our team. Now, it wouldn't be a technical talk without a quote from someone from the Big Five. So as Steve Jobs once said, you can't just ask customers what they want and then try and give that to them. By the time you get it built, they'll have changed their mind. And for any of you that build technical solutions for the business, this happens every day. And the journey to this point for our team was not easy. We have values in the Lego group, we have 3 of them, and it required our team to lean on every single one of them. To be brave, to be curious, and to be focused. To think of a new way to do things and really deliver change. If you take anything away from this talk today, and I hope it's not just about the fun game that we played at the start, please let it be this. Remember that in building for the future, whether that is for technical reasons or for the business, you have the ability to be the evolution for your product and to really drive value for your product as well and set the stage for your future success. I am seeing a time check of 5 minutes left, and I just want to say a massive thank you to Women in Data for having us here today to share some of our story. I will be over in the Women in Data Lounge after this if any of you would like to have a conversation and ask some more detailed questions. But I will maybe hand you back to Melissa, and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Chloe, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. Like Chloe said, she'll be heading over to the lounge if you did have any questions. But please do stay around because we have our next WID session here on the Teams and Culture stage at 2 o'clock. Thank you all.